January 4th, 2014. This is the first Piltdown Superman podcast of the new year. This bad boy is going to be about 14 minutes, and I scripted myself, so I'm not going to be wasting a lot of your time with verbalized pauses and that sort of thing. Also, I'm going to forego the atheopath follies for today. I woke up to sub-zero temperatures, and it's finally reached about 12 degrees Fahrenheit. I checked just for giggles, and Calgary, Alberta, Canada was actually warmer than Kingston, New York, where I am. So occasionally you're going to hear the furnace blower cycling in the background. We're going to take a break from looking at the specific logical fallacies today and do something a bit different. We should give applause to atheists and evolutionists for helping us out. I've been writing weblogs, doing online stuff for about 7 years. Well, actually, I've been online quite a bit longer than 7 years. Although I rededicated my life to Christ just a few years ago, I was still challenging evolution and atheism in my somewhat apostate time. In forums and back when I allowed comments on my weblogs, I learned a great deal about atheists. I'm speaking in generalities. Note that. And from my own experiences and observations, note that as well. My suspicion is that the angry, hateful atheists go on their internet jihads, and the ones that I call live and let live atheists, they're content to go on about their business. They seem to have the attitude, I don't believe you do, we can talk about it, or not, whatever. These angry ones have taught me a great deal about their lack of character and intelligence. I remember one atheist on Twitter warning me that if I misused the word atheist, then I might call down the thunder. Well, that's true. If you dare to question their integrity or intelligence, they go wild. When I asked the question if atheism causes brain damage, I gained some of the most vicious, irrational, insane, and demonically influenced internet stalkers. Evolution can be a religion in itself, but it is also foundational for the religion of atheism. Why some Christians take evolutionary interpretations of the evidence and actually attack those of us who believe the Bible, I can't say for certain, but I have an opinion that they reject biblical authority, so those compromising Christians often team up with atheists against their common enemy, the young earth creationists. By the way, Hitler liked to use the common enemy as a uniting force as well, the enemy for him being the Jews. Atheists and evolutionists are Satan's hand puppets. They think they have brilliant minds and they're in control of their own wills and their own destinies, but actually they are being used by Satan to attack the truth. They are useful idiots, to borrow from a Soviet Union term about Western sympathizers. What many atheists like to do, and we've covered some of these things in previous podcasts, is just to attack the person. What they hope to gain by demonizing the person, I have no idea, other than it feeds their egos, and they can be congratulated by their equally degenerate friends. They will also seek to distract you and control the conversation. But changing the subject and attacking the person, you're just a big dumb stupid head, that does not change the truth of what is being said. Much of what was written about me was libelous self-congratulations, and it was not worth refuting. I used to pay attention, though. You have to learn. Until I realized that this is just a waste of time. You're not going to change anyone's mind. They are determined to hate. So what could I gain? But some of the personal attacks did have a grain of truth. Even though some people like Norman the Paranoid Troll would say anything or even make up their own facts or realities, then they believe them, Their determination to find an excuse to demonize me had some benefit to me. And I bet they're gnashing their teeth when they find this out. Despite their obstreperous nature and vituperation, I remember something in the Bible that they were inadvertently supporting. 1 Peter 3:16 says, having a good conscience, so that when you are slandered, those who revile your good behavior in Christ may be put to shame. In other words, don't give them room to talk. They're going to talk bad about you. Don't give them a reason. Don't make their complaints valid. Now, one of the things that I had to learn was that atheists will say, prove it, for practically anything, and make it difficult just to have a conversation. You're going along and you say something and they go, can you substantiate it? Can you prove it? You can't even have a conversation. Norman said one time that I am such a liar that if I said the sky was blue, he would not believe me. He'd have to go check. Of course, he would make all kinds of assertions about me, but he didn't document his own claims. You can make a remark about something you read somewhere at one time, and the atheopath will scream, prove it, give me documentation. And that makes any conversation cumbersome and annoying. Can't we just have the conversation, for crying out loud? But they have double standards, giving little or no documentation of their own claims, especially when they're attacking the person. But I increased my efforts to give supporting links for my claims when I'm writing stuff down. I've been hit with the genetic fallacy as an excuse to disregard my research because
it's in a blog.
But I would have sometimes a dozen supporting links for my remarks. So they would reject the blog and therefore reject the substantiation. Also, I'm more selective in what I'm putting forward. I've rejected creationist material because I didn't like it or thought it was lacking in some way or another, or I didn't think they were really making a good enough or a strong enough point. Now, don't tell anyone this, but I've also rejected articles because I didn't understand them. They were too scientific and too long, and I wasn't in the mood to invest my time and mental energy. But there was something else that I had to learn from. Pictures. Just because there's a picture on the web doesn't mean that you have a right to use it. Now, people share stuff all over the place on Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and some of these other things, and I think most of that kind of stuff is actually copyright infringement. I don't know if people are going to get in trouble for that or not. But I don't even want to learn how to use Pinterest and some of these things. Anyway, I would use some stuff from the web. I'd use copyrighted images. Then I would tamper with them and distort them. And I'd justify it to myself that I'm not harming the artist's or photographer's income because I'm not putting forth the same thing as the original. But I learned and realized I was convicted of it in my spirit, and I repented of that, and I took down literally hundreds of pictures on my weblogs. As people go through some of my archives, especially Stormbringer's Thunder, and they will find a lot of things that are just the X's or the special mark that says, hey, there's no picture here, pal. Anyway, sometimes if I can't find the original source of an image, I may go ahead and use the picture. I've used a few. There's one dinosaur thing that I really like the dinosaur picture, and I could not find the original source. Now, if the original artist or photographer or whoever made the thing substantiates it and says, hey, that's mine, take it down, okay, I'll do that. Sometimes, though, I'll use these things that are on what they call meme generators. Some very common pictures that are being circulated and given a theme and a caption. Now, those things are scattered all over the web. Now, if somebody grabs someone's copyrighted picture, runs it through a meme generator, then that's just being sneaky. They are still in copyright infringement. But those other images, I don't think anybody really cares. In fact, I've read where some of these people in the pictures are actually amused by them, and they like the fame that they've received. But like I said, if I get a valid takedown notice that can be verified, I will take it down. I get most of my images from public domain or free-to-use sites, and I like to give credit to it. Even some of them say, you don't have to give credit, it's here. Well, no, I want to give credit and help the photographer or artist out and give publicity to that site. I urge other Christian writers to do the same thing. Go to the source, don't just grab something off the web. Use these public domain and free-to-use sites. Let's see, there's Morgue File, Image After, Stock Exchange. Those are free. If you use things from government sites, you have to be careful. Just because there's a .gov in it doesn't mean that there isn't a copyright holder. I've been really excited. I wanted to use a certain NASA photo, and I'll say, oh look, copyright credit, and it gives an individual's name. It does not say image credit nasa.gov/JPL or Cassini or any of those things. It has an individual that, okay, I'm either going to have to contact him or do something else. And I chose to do something else and find an alternative. So use the public domain and freely available stuff. There's a lot of it. Or even go without. Everything doesn't have to have a picture. Another benefit from my evolutionist and atheist attackers is that I have learned to sharpen my arguments. It infuriates them when they come along and say how much smarter they are than we are, and this
stupid dumb Christian
destroys what passes as logic in their minds. Of course, they deny being schooled in logic, and I think there's a rule in the Atheist Handbook that never allow a Christian to be right about anything, no matter how inconsequential. But when they're going to deny that I've just destroyed their logical arguments, then and they're going to argue anyway, or worse yet, they'll take something that's faulty and then try to build on it. And I won't let them do it. They get mad. So it's time to move on. So to sum all this up, I want to thank my attackers. Some of you have actually helped me out. And for the rest of us, sharpen our skills. Sharpen your logic, sharpen your theology, learn your scriptures, learn your science. We can refute evolution, and we are doing it. Creation ministries are growing as we can demonstrate ourselves in our humble efforts. But we have to be better than the opposition, and don't give them a reason to criticize you that's valid.